this video I'll be making Simplicity S9019 View A, and I will be doing this in a size small with the sleeves being, I believe, a large or extra large in the misses. I'm using the same material as I did with the bottom PJs. I have like a blizzard fleece here, and I have all my pieces cut out and marked. If you are interested in making the bottoms, I do have a video with that. I feel like this one will be pretty straightforward, so let's get started. It seems like an easy make. Step 1 says, apply a remnant of fusible interfacing to wrong side of front, large enough to cover each buttonhole, following manufacturer's directions. I have two pieces here. So you can see the one I'm using is the one that you iron on. One side has bubbles and the other side doesn't. Okay, so this is my right side. I'm gonna flip it over. And I'm gonna place these two pieces on, and the interfacing I'm using requires for the bubbles to be side down. And then I'm gonna go follow the directions, which are for this type of interfacing, you spray it with water and then you iron over. So I'm gonna go do that and come back. Okay, now on the other side, I'm gonna flip this over and I'm gonna do the buttonholes. Step 2 says press under 5/8 of an inch on curved edges of pocket. So I'm gonna measure 5/8 of an inch. It should be actually, I think, where your dots are. On the wrong side, I'm gonna turn it over and iron at 5/8 of an inch. And then it does say to tuck a raw edge to meet the crease. So I'm kind of tucking it in with my fingers and holding it down. And then let me iron again. We will repeat this on the other side as well. I'm gonna go pin it in place because it might unravel on me. Same thing on this side. Now that we pressed it, let's go stitch this hem in place, and then we can continue to press the other outside. Do it top stitching because the hem is going to show on the front. Continue with this step, we will now stitch, we will now press the seam allowance on the raw edge, and I believe the seam allowances were also 5/8 of an inch, but this we don't have to double, so 5/8 of an inch here. I'm gonna turn it over and press again, just because it's kind of coming undone. And I think the stitch allowance is up to 5/8 of an inch, so I believe you can make this pocket a little bit bigger by reducing the seam allowance. I think the maximum is 5/8. Okay, cool. Step 6 says to pin the back to front along shoulder and neck edge, matching notches and fold lines as shown. So on the table I have the right side of the front, and then on top I'm going to have the right side facing, so I have right sides to right side. And we're going to stitch up to the shoulder, which is here where my hands are at. We will leave this edge neck area open though, so we're gonna kind of sew just this. For some reason on their picture, I feel like their neck looks a lot longer than what I have. So as I'm pinning these shoulders, you can see that the shoulder piece is flat, but the rest of my thing isn't. For example, the neck doesn't sit flat. That's okay. We want the space for our head to be here, so this doesn't have to sit flat like usual. Let the space exist. Okay, I'm gonna sew down from here to here, and we're gonna clip the neck edges. Yeah, it looks a lot longer. Did I not cut this piece out right? I feel like this is not as long as it's showing on the photo. It actually looks a lot smaller here. Did I accidentally cut? I don't think I cut wrong. It looks like I'm missing kind of like a piece here. That's unfortunate. I don't think I messed up. Maybe I did and I didn't realize it. Here I'm clipping the curves. I did sew this at 5/8 of an inch. Oh my gosh, I'm really sad that looks like I messed up on my cutting. I don't know if I'm gonna have a good neck piece, but we're gonna have to just make with what we can. Sorry, I think I should have trimmed this first, then clip my curves. I guess step 7 is to just turn it in. Oh, thank goodness. I still have a collar. Yay! I can also trim down. No, I think this is okay. It just said on the photo or the picture of the instructions made it look so much bigger. Let's see what step 8 says. To secure inside collar to outside collar, turn back collar over front collar at one neck seam, exposing front and back seam allowance. So I'm going to turn down my collar so it kind of follows the thing, and I'm going to stitch right here on the edge. I'm only going to stitch very, very little. So I'm going to stitch right at the line and this much. So just a little bit. And I will backstitch if it lets me. I'm going to repeat the same thing on this back. So here's kind of the normal edge. I'm just turning it over and following the curve just like this. And I'm going to stitch down. Actually, instead of backstitching, let me put down my needle. Because backstitching right now is not really helping me. So what does this do? It has a fold here on the inside of your collar. We're gonna, let me zoom out for you. We kind of have this. Let's grab here. We can probably clip curves, but there's our collar. I guess we kind of leave this as a raw edge. I'm not seeing to stitch it in order. I think I have a raw edge because my piece wasn't long enough. Maybe yours is going to be better. I might just sew it down to secure it. I don't really know if, I think I said this a lot in my other video. I'm not too sure if fleece frays. Step 9 is now to stitch the front to back at side seams. I'm going to sew this down and repeat on the other side. Step 10 says to stitch underarm seam of sleeve. So here's my sleeve. I believe this is the wrong side, this is the right. Stitch down. Finishing the step says to stitch a 1/4 inch from raw edge. I'm just gonna bring it up. This is about, it's actually I don't remember how big it was on the sleeve. To finish this step, we're gonna stitch our arms, raw edge. I have it here up this much. Hopefully it's not too much. I'll probably try it on. It says to stitch a 1/4 inch from raw edge. I'm going to do this on both sides. Step 11 says to turn sleeve right side out. Hold garment wrong side out with armhole towards you. For step 11, we have the garment wrong side out, and we'll have the armhole towards us. Notice how we have 2 notches on one side and 1 notch on the other. Turn this right side out, and this one doesn't fit because we have the right side notch. Actually, wait, I lied. No, I didn't. So let's turn over this one. So we will grab the sleeve, put it inside of the wrong side out garment, and your notches should match. My dog is wagging his tail. This is not necessary for yours because you might have cut out the right size. I cut out a bigger sleeve size because I find that with sleeve sizing on Simplicity patterns never fit my biceps that well. And I don't even have big biceps, but it's just something I've noticed. So I ended up cutting this sleeve with a size large on the arms in hopes that it'll help me with my problem. The instructions say to stitch and to stitch again a 1/4 inch, or sorry, 1/8 inch away from the first stitching. Based on the dots, I'm gonna guess you're gonna stitch 5/8 of an inch first. So we will stitch 5/8 of an inch from the raw edge, and then from the 5/8 of an inch you will stitch 1/8 away. I usually like to start down here on the armpit so the sleeve starts and end kind of in a place where you can't really see it. I won't backstitch just yet. An inch away is about moving just the needle position over. I'm going to bring my sleeve again. Hopefully I have enough thread in my bobbin. I'm going to place my foot down, and 1 inch away is about a needle position away, so I'm just moving my needle position from center position to the right. And I'm going to follow the same line, except that now my needle is positioned to the right. I'm actually out of thread. Let me redo this and I'll just come back. The step here now says to trim the seam below notches. I think they meant passing the notches. I'm using my pinking shears for this one. And I'll just trim my seam very close like this. Step 12 says to press up the hem on lower edge of top. So this is my lower edge. I pressed it up enough so that it's very close to my buttonholes. And now I'm just pressing and pinning down. And as I started to pin down, I am just checking the raw edges so that it's kind of a even finish throughout the whole garment. It doesn't say to fold it over, like we're gonna have these raw edges exposed. I wish we could have had a fold over instead to encase these raw edges. It doesn't look like I would have enough to do that unless I make a really, really small one like this. But I think if I do that, it won't give enough space here for me to not sew over the buttonholes. I suppose I can give it a try, but it doesn't specify to do this. This is optional if you feel comfortable with having your raw edges like that. I mean, we're going to trim them most likely after we're done with this, but just kind of going an extra step to make your garment look a little nicer. I think in general it's going to look okay regardless, but I mean, if you have time, why not? Make sure that before you do this part, you'd already open your buttonholes. I actually haven't prior to this, so I'm going to do this right now before I forget and close this hem. What I'm actually doing is I'm also tucking in the edge raw edge in as I fold. To be honest, I don't even know if my sewing is going to catch that, but I just don't want a raw edge like this on my stitching. I'd rather have it be enclosed. I don't actually think this is going to work out for me because my raw edge is very, very close. Step 13 says to attach a safety pin to one end of the tape and you insert it through the buttonhole. So let me grab, I actually don't even know what ribbon or something I'm going to use. I decided at the last minute to actually include a drawstring. Here's the finished jacket. The drawstring I put in wasn't long enough, and I didn't have the knots too big, so the drawstring ended up falling in. But this is the final result. I've worn this a few times already, washed it a few times. I have no problem with the hems, especially here. So to past me, future me says it doesn't flare. You can't really notice this, I just now I'm seeing it, but when you wear it, you can't really tell. Overall, I'm really happy with this pattern. It's really easy make, I think, and it's quite comfortable. It goes well with the PJs. Thank you for watching, and if you have any video recommendations for sewing, please let me know. Thank you.